We all think of solar power as this amazing tool for a clean energy future, and it is. But what if I told you that these huge solar farms have a hidden and kind of ironic weakness, a problem that actually gets worse the more the sun shines? So let's unpack this little paradox.
But here's the cool part. What if the solution to this problem was all around us the whole time? What if we could transform our solar farms to do something more, something that not only fixes the issue but also helps us feed a growing planet at the same time?
What if the answer looked a little something like this? Yeah, just plants, growing right there in the shade of the panels. It might seem almost too simple, but believe me, this idea is quietly starting a revolution in solar energy.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a game changer, we first have to dig into solar power's heat problem. It's this paradox that's hiding right at the core of how the technology works.
So here's the deal. Solar panels take sunlight and turn it into electricity. Simple enough. More sun equals more power, right? Well, yeah, but only up to a point. See, as a panel is soaking up all that sun, it's not just making electricity, it's also getting really, really hot. And that very heat, counterintuitively, starts to drag down its performance.
And this isn't a small thing. Research shows that for every single degrees Celsius a panel's temperature goes up, its efficiency drops by about 0.5%. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but on a hot day, a panel can easily get up to 80 degrees Celsius. Those little 0.5% add up fast across a massive solar farm. So the takeaway is simple. A cooler panel is a more productive panel.
For years, engineers have been trying to figure out ways to keep these panels cool, and the solutions have often been, well, pretty complex and expensive, what you might call the high-tech approach. And they've thrown a lot of tech at this problem. On the left, you can see some of the typical ideas. We're talking complex water pumps, fans that use up energy themselves, even advanced materials that soak up heat. They're all clever solutions for sure, but they all add cost and complexity. But now, look at the image on the right. What if the best solution wasn't some expensive new gizmo at all?
And that brings us to this incredibly elegant solution that comes not from an engineering lab, but from the world of agriculture. It's a concept called agrivoltaics.
So what is agrivoltaics? It's actually beautiful in its simplicity. It's just the practice of using the same piece of land for two things at once, making solar power and growing crops. So instead of having barren dirt or gravel under the panels, you have a living, breathing ecosystem. And this is where it gets really cool. This isn't just about saving space. It's about creating a perfect partnership, a symbiotic relationship where the plants help the panels and the panels help the plants. It is a genuine win-win situation.
Okay, now this slide is where the data really tells the story. This comes from a study down in Arizona. Let's focus on the graph on the right. That gray line shows the temperature of a standard solar panel, just spiking in the middle of the day. But look at the blue line. That's the panel with crops growing underneath it. It is consistently, and I mean significantly, cooler. The secret is a process called transpiration. The plants are basically sweating, releasing water vapor that creates a cooler microclimate. It's like a natural air conditioner for the panels. And the results from that same study are just staggering. Chiltepin peppers, they produced 3 times more fruit. Cherry tomatoes doubled their production. The panels themselves stayed up to 9 degrees Celsius cooler, which boosted their efficiency. And because the panels gave them some shade, the soil underneath stayed 15% more moist, saving a huge amount of water. This is a perfect real-world example of the food-energy-water nexus in action.
All right, so we know it works in the dry heat of Arizona, but what about somewhere totally different? Let's hop over to the hot, humid tropics and take a look at a really important experiment in Malaysia.
So this is the place, a 2-megawatt solar power plant in Puchong. The researchers here wanted to see if agrivoltaics could work its magic in their specific climate.
Their method was super straightforward. Under one set of panels, they planted a local medicinal herb called Masai Kuching, which translates to cat's whiskers. Then they just compared the electricity generated by those panels against the output from an identical set of panels, the control plot, that had nothing but bare ground underneath.
And the result? The panels with the plants underneath generated, on average, a full 3% more power. 3%! Now that might not sound like a world-changing number to you and me, but for a massive utility-scale solar operator, that is a huge, significant boost in energy and revenue, all thanks to a little bit of greenery.
So what this all means is, this isn't just some clever science experiment. This is about literally farming our energy future. It's a practical, growing solution for a world that's facing huge challenges in food, water, and energy. And as this map shows, this is not just some niche idea anymore. From commercial farms in Italy and China to research facilities in France and Japan, agrivoltaics is taking root all across the globe, being adapted for local climates and local crops. It's happening.
The researchers from that Malaysian study really put it perfectly. They said that by adopting these kinds of synergistic paths, we can build more resilient systems for both energy and food. It's about working with nature, not against it, to solve our biggest challenges. So it leaves us with this really fascinating question to think about. We've always thought of farms and power plants as two totally separate things. But with a simple, elegant idea like agrivoltaics, could the future of how we grow our food and how we generate our power actually become one and the same?